Hey guys, it's the History Nerd, and we are here with a new series, Panzer Corps. It's a game I found just strolling through Steam, and it's produced by a company called Slitherine, which gotten for the... Let's get my words sorted, shall I? The only reason I know about Slitherine was because in the first two seasons of Deadliest Warrior, they were somehow involved with what was going on. So, yeah, I knew that they did strategy games. It looks like they're kind of in the same vein as Paradox, but a lot of their games are a lot different. And this one is different as well. This is nothing like a Paradox game. It's a lot like, if you go way back into the early to mid 90s, with a fun little title called Panzer General. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. It's in the same vein as that. So we're going to go ahead, start a new game, and we're going to start in 39, goes to 45, as should be expected. I don't have any of the expansions for this game because they're quite pricey. So it's just going to be the base game. Let's do it to it, shall we? So, difficulty, we're going to leave it on kernel, because why not? We're going to leave weather on, supply on, fog of war, and undo. Why not? We can take a look at the advanced tabs. I'm not going to change anything on here, but we've got, game rules. I have no idea the difference between classic and new. I would guess combat randomness is going to be limited. If you go with dice chess, no idea what that means. Or none, which is just like chess. I don't think about that. I have no idea what reform units does, but I'm going to leave it turned off. And all of these sliders, I'm not going to get more prestige. I'm not going to give the AI more prestige. I'm not going to give anybody more experience or strength. We're just going to leave the AI level at 1. So that's the setup. Let's get into it.
Greetings, Herr General. As you are now well aware, High Command has ordered the initiation of hostilities against Poland. Operation Fall Weiß must proceed at full pace, as we suspect that the British and the French will eventually come to aid of the Poles. To that effect, you have been given the task of securing the heart of the Polish nation. Take the capital, Warsaw, and the nearby cities of Lodz and Krakow. Achieving your goals quickly may allow you the opportunity to participate in additional operations. Failure, however, is not an option. Good luck, Herr General. I and all of Germany await word of your success.
All right, so what we've got here is the beginning of the Polish campaign. We can see the weather today is clear and dry. The weather tomorrow is going to be clear and dry. And I say tomorrow, but it's not really tomorrow. I'm not sure how long the turns take, but it's more than a day. Fairly confident anyway. We've got our victory conditions here. Decisive victory, capture all objectives with at least 5 turns remaining. If we manage to pull off this, we will be able to take part in special missions. So I think if we're able to storm Poland quickly enough, then we can go on and handle the invasion of Norway, which is a slightly more difficult mission than this first one. And then marginal, just capture all objectives. Obviously, as our briefing commandant told us, I don't know if he's actually a commandant, but hey, that's the rank I gave him. We can't fail because, imagine if Nazi Germany wasn't actually able to conquer Poland. World War II would have been over much, much quicker. Let's go ahead, click on the continue button. And here we've got the main screen of the game. So this is basically the area of operations we are involved in. We've got all sorts of different terrain. We got rivers, mountains, hills, forests, cities, flatland, farmland, what have you. So yeah, that's basically covers that. We got roads, which increase movement speeds. And then we got all our little units here. Now, before we get into moving around and stuff, we're just going to talk for a few minutes about what our units are and what just general units are. I guess general probably is not the right term to use, but I used it, so deal with it. You can see this gold border around some of these units' strength indicators. So that means that these are our units. We can see here this guy's got no gold, and that's looking about it for no gold. That's not mine. So the gold units carry with me or continue on throughout the campaign, and of course you can add units to your collection. Thankfully, I'm not stuck rolling with Panzer IICs and Panzer 1Bs for all of time. That really wouldn't make much of a series, I don't think, because, man, those tanks would get chewed to pieces once Barbarossa starts. So how do we add more units? Well, we can go to the purchase tab, and here are all the units we can buy. We've got 4 more slots in our core slot grouping, so we can have 4 more units. And you can see we can indeed, if we wanted to, we could buy some Slovakian infantry and artillery if we wanted to. And we've got Germany here. Obviously, as missions go on, you'll get different nations you can choose from. I've never really bought other nations' units before, so I don't know if they carry on. I can tell you right now, I can't actually purchase any Slovakian units, so we'll have to discover that at a later date. Anyway, we will just take a look at our forces before we go off and purchase new things. Just trying to figure out what it is that we're going to need. Now, we've got a fair amount of infantry. We've got, 4 infantry brigades, I think, up here. We've got a couple of tank brigades. We've got a BF-110C, a BF-109E, and then down here we got some more infantry. We've got another tank unit, and then, you know, that's basically it. So what we're missing from our loadout here is, at the very least, not a strategic bomber, but a Stuka, a Junkers 87B in this case. So we're going to go ahead and purchase ourselves a Stuka, and obviously it's an aerial unit, so it's got to be placed next to an airfield. I was about to say airport, but it's not an airport because it's just a field. An airfield within your zone of control. Now, we've purchased the Stuka on this turn. We will not have access to it until next turn, so that's just something to keep in mind. So we've got 3 more units to buy. And if we go back and take a look, we've got 1 unit of artillery, but just 1. I don't know if that's going to be enough. We should probably get ourselves a 2nd unit of artillery, and you can see we've got a few choices here. We've got a 75mm gun, we've got a 105mm gun, and then we've got the Sturmpanzer 1. So this is far more mobile. These guys have a unit range of 1. Because basically it's, you know, the unit's picking it up and walking it around. What we can do to speed that up, though, is give it an Opel Blitz. And then on the movement map, you can see here these little dots. That just means that, you know, the poor soldiers are just going to push it along at a, you know, walking speed, I guess, however quickly you can walk while you're carrying a 105mm cannon. Have fun. These truck icons mean that, hey, you know what? We're going to turn into a truck. We can go faster, but let me tell you this. Don't set yourself up so that your trucks are getting shot, because it's bad news bears. So we've got a 2nd piece of artillery, which is looking mighty fine, but we've still got 2 slots left. What are we going to get? Well, considering we're rolling around with Panzer 1s and Panzer 2s, I think a 38T might be the best idea. So the 38 was made in I guess Czechoslovakia. And then when the Nazis came in, they realized that the 38T was, you know, a fair bit better than the 1s and 2s that they were running with. So they adopted it and used it. We're going to do the same. We're going to adopt and use the 38T. And then finally, we're going to get just 1 more unit of infantry, just Wehrmacht infantry with the Opel Blitz. And we'll slap them down somewhere. Why not in Upland? Sounds like a plan. All right, so that's enough organizing, I would assume. Well, no assumptions even. It's enough organizing. So the first thing we're going to do with this invasion of Poland is kind of clear out the aircraft that are hanging around, the Polish Air Force. We don't really want to deal with them. They're not going to be that difficult. But, you know, our Stukas and our Me-110s, well, the Me-110s can handle enemy aircraft all right. The Stukas, you don't want to get in a dogfight in a Stuka. So, we're going to advance up and see if we can't find some enemy aircraft. There's no enemy aircraft at that field. So let's grab our 110 And we got no enemy aircraft in this field, but we do have some artillery sitting there. So, you know, obviously we don't want to get shot with artillery, but we also don't want to get ahead of ourselves. When it comes to this invasion of Poland, you can see that, you know, these cities here are obviously things that we're going to want to capture, not capture. These gold cities are objectives. So if we don't secure the 3 gold cities, we are not going to win. And if we don't secure the 3 gold cities with at least 5 turns remaining, we're not going to get to Norway. I'm not going to focus too much on getting to Norway. I've done it before, and I could do it again, I'm sure, if I really focused in on it. But I'm just going to try and get the objectives completed. If we make it to Norway, hey, that's great. If we don't, such is life. So, for the invasion of Poland, we're going to kick it off with the 1st Panzer 1B. They're going to roll up here and take fire on some cavalry. Now, we took some serious damage there, but so did they. We're going to move our 2nd Wehrmacht infantry up, and we can see here, which I should have covered with the Panzer tank, the little indicator next to the crosshairs there. So the -2 in red on the black background is the expected result of what we're going to take. The -5 on the green background is the expected result of what they're going to take. So it looks like if all goes according to plan, the 2nd Wehrmacht infantry here should be able to take out the 8th Polish cavalry. Let's see if they can. Looks like they can. Excellent. So finally, we're going to snag the 3rd Wehrmacht infantry and head them up north. These guys here, especially if we get a little bit of air cover or air support from either the 110 or the Stuka, should have no problem securing this little town, and then we can push out into Lodz. The rest of our units here, and you can see we've got quite a few of them, are going to head down south. And so the basic plan is a little bit of a unit's going up, securing this. The rest of the main force is going to sweep down into Krakow here, taking the Slovakian infantry from Stara Lubovna, and these forces down here, once we secure that city, and this big bunch here once we secure that city. So it's kind of a strong southern push when we might distract a couple forces going north, and then sweep up, meet up in this area, and then finally take Warsaw to end the mission. That's the plan anyway. Let's see if everything goes according to it. So, I'm going to move my infantry and then move my artillery up. The reason I'm moving the artillery up 1 square next to these guys is so that if they get attacked, the artillery will support in the defense. So we're going to go ahead, shell the city a little bit. You can see that was fairly ineffective, which is depressing. But it's okay, our infantry should be able to come through and pull out a victory. You can see there, the 9th took no damage. See if we can finish these guys off. Looks like they're going to hold on by the skin of their teeth. Or maybe not. Boom. Mission objective completed. Now, we've got these 2 little indicators here, green for movement, red for shooting. You can move and shoot in any order you want. So you can attack and then move, you can move and then attack, you can attack and not move, or you can move and not attack. It's all up to you. So we're going to move those guys up, and that's about it. These units were purchased, so they'll have to move next turn. And let's get to work on taking some of these cities down here. And we've expended all our moves, so we won't be able to capture this city until the next turn. Oh, we took some serious losses there, but it's okay. We took out the forces guarding that city there. I'm not even going to begin to attempt to pronounce that. Now, we do have the 14th Slovakian infantry down here, and we could throw them into Novosaks there. We're not going to. We're going to send these guys around, keeping in the mountains, so we've got a very good defensive bonus in case these guys decide to pop out and attack us, and then just move in and join up in Krakow with the rest of our units. So that pretty much solves that. Let's go ahead and end the turn. And then obviously Poland makes its moves. This is the first time I've ever had the Polish Air Force engage me down here, but hey, first time for everything. Let's secure that city. Now, unfortunately, you'll notice I only moved once, but that is it for movement. There are scout units that can move multiple times a turn, provided they don't wind up, I don't know, running out of movement points or dying, you know, coming into contact with enemies, things of that nature. But for the most part, if you move a unit, that's its move. You can undo, provided you don't click off the unit. So you see that undo button is clear. If I click off of him and then click back, now, sorry, that's his turn. So it's always good to just keep that in mind. Now, taking a look at the situation up here, it looks like this little town here is completely undefended, so we'll go take it. We're going to be doing the big push on Krakow now. It's pretty useless having our ME-109 way up there not doing anything, so we'll send it down here to deal with this crappy little airplane. And you can see we've definitely got superiority when it comes to aircraft. That's not really a surprise. Now, the ME-110 is fairly decent against, you know, sort of lower tier enemy aircraft. You definitely don't want to send this up against Spitfires or Yaks or anything like that, but going up against a little sort of bomber here might not be a bad idea. Alternatively, of course, we could use the 110 to hit that artillery piece, but I think the Stuka would be better suited to that. So let's just go ahead and use our heavy fighter to do some damage there. We took a little bit of damage, but nothing we can't handle. So now we're going to position ourselves for our attack into Krakow. Now, we'll take our 38T, bring it right up as far as we can. We'll take our Stuka, bring it down, and teach that artillery a lesson. I'm liking the way this is going. Now, we're going to want to just be nice and careful with our units. Again, you don't necessarily want to be attacked while you're in truck form. Sounds like I'm talking about a transformer there. But relatively safe. You know, they might come out and attack. If they do, you know, lesson learned, I should be far more careful with my units. Alright, but chances are we'll be fine. So let's go ahead and end the turn. We can see their air force is retreating. Now we've got cloudy weather, and the forecast tomorrow is rain. The weather does have an effect, most notably on aircraft. Now, with cloudy weather, I'm not sure I can still attack. When it's rainy, I don't think I can. So let's do our best to make full use of our aircraft while they're kicking around here. And then I wonder, can we hunt these guys down? Probably not. And I say that because you can see these red hexes. That's kind of a big warning that says, hey, if you go out this range, your plane will run out of fuel and you will never have it again. So it's important to keep that in mind of your aircraft. To refuel it, it's just going to be next to or on an airbase. And if it takes damage, it has to actually be on an airbase to reinforce. But I will show you guys that, you know, when we get closer to requiring reinforcements. Anyway, we're going to use our tanks here to do what they do best and flank. Perfect. That takes care of the artillery, so no artillery support for those guys, which is nice. And we're just going to get ourselves into a bit better position here. I doubt we're going to require this piece of artillery to actually take this town, but it's nice to have it there just in case we need it. So you can see there that that field gun there had really no chance of doing any damage, but that's fine. We did some good damage there. We took some casualties in return. Of course, one unit hangs on just to bug me. Alright, so let's talk about reinforcing. We can see that this unit is sitting at basically 60% health. We've got our replacements, and we've got two different forms of replacement. So we've got just normal replacements and elite replacements. What this does is spend the game's currency, which is prestige, on fixing up this unit. So if I were to hit replacements, you can see that strength goes up by 4, prestige goes down by 17, and our experience drops as well. If we use elite replacements, it's far more expensive, but the unit's experience isn't going to drop. Now, a drop from 36 to 25 is not that big. Later on, there might be units that you've got that you want to get those primo replacements in. We'll just go with normal replacements there, and we'll get our mountain troops closer in. They don't have a vehicle attached to them, so it's best to keep them on the move. And we'll just keep those guys walking as well. In the meantime, we've got our northern front here to worry about. And we're just going to want to make sure that no Polish units want to come across, and we'll actually heal that tank up. It is ours, so it's probably a good idea to do that. Takes care of everybody. Let's go on to the next turn. We can see Polish armor is coming in, and they did some serious damage. Now, we retreated into the empty airfield and claimed it for ourselves, which is good because our 110 is now, refueling there. If we take a look, the weather is cloudy. It is not rainy like the prediction was. Weather is not always correct. It's a prediction after all, just like real life. Weathermen don't really know what's going on. So we'll go ahead, use our 110 on that tank, teach it a lesson, and drop that guy down. Use our Panzer III, which isn't ours. Of course, that is a unit that belongs just to this mission. But the 38T is ours, and it took care of that tank, no problem. This guy is severely damaged, so we're going to want to get him some replacements. Now let's go ahead, shell the crap out of this town. We can see the color indicators change. Yellow means kind of suppressed, and red means this dude's super suppressed. So, I think anyway. I could be wrong on that. It's happened before. Let's go ahead, rest that guy up, and start bringing the rest of our infantry up and around. Now, with the trucks being behind the tanks, we should be relatively safe. I'm not concerned about any Polish forces sneaking up on me there. Now, what we could do in the north here, what we will do for sure, is get that guy repaired. We could drive across. Now, I know that this city is fairly well defended, and I'm not sure a single Panzer I and a couple of infantry can take it, but hey, let's at least scout it out, and then we can say, hey, at least we tried. Now, terrain, as I'm looking at this and thinking about it, terrain does have an impact. If, for instance, you're sitting on a river tile and you get attacked, you're going to get your ass kicked because you're sitting on a river. So you always want to be cognizant of the terrain, and it doesn't really show any of the bonuses. So you just gotta have to learn it for yourself. Now, we don't really... Well, I guess we got a few units up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my BF-109 up. And you can see we've encountered that enemy aircraft, so let's go ahead and make it a bad day for them. Perfect. With the airs secured, we can send in our Stuka and start bombing that cavalry unit. Now, I'm going to want to keep the Stuka next to the BF-109. This way, if the Stuka does get attacked, the BF-109 will be able to defend it, which is helpful. You don't necessarily want to leave your Stukas undefended, because they're not designed to fight. Alright. So this is starting to look a little bit more concerning, especially with that piece of artillery up there, but with a Stuka, we can certainly do some damage. And BF-109s can do strafing runs as well. Now, it's not going to do too much damage, but every little bit helps. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and take the trenches and start in on the Polish infantry here. That was a fairly successful attack, I must say. We'll move that guy up, and now we can see here we've got like river with swampy lands. Definitely not a good place for a tank, but look at that. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to send him back and then just go up and capture that town. So now we've got the northern towns secured. Now, it's not an objective, but it does add to our prestige, which comes in handy because that's how you get new units. So always something to keep in mind. Now let's just get our units. We can see that that's clear, so we'll do a good old-fashioned cheat there. And we should be fairly safe to move everybody else. Keep them behind the tanks now, just in case Poland's got a surprise for us. Although at this stage, they probably don't, so it's relatively safe. But let's keep playing it safe. Alright, so we've encountered their fighter aircraft there. And then once we knock that guy out, that's it for the Polish Air Force, and we have free reign of the skies. Everybody's moved. Let's move on to the next turn. Oh, thank you for attacking. I appreciate that. The 3rd Wehrmacht, they're looking pretty groovy right now. Alright, let's get these guys down and see if we can't finish off this Polish force. We can't, but they certainly are weakened. Go ahead, bomb that piece of artillery, and now it's looking like we're going to want to perhaps send this guy back for some refueling, and while we're on our way, yeah, we get nothing accomplished there. That's fine. I was hoping I'd be able to get one more movement out of that, but that's okay. We're doing some absolutely tremendous damage to that piece of artillery, and that's really all I want to do. Is that really undefended? Let's find out. It is! So let's go take it. Perfect. Thank you for coming up. That is helpful. We're going to want to move our artillery into a bit better of a position here, and then just get our infantry rolling up on the city to deal some damage. And there we go. We'll take you and continue on your path. And I guess we could send a tank up on this side to capture that airfield. The only thing is, well, if we do that, then we can actually come around and hit this from 3 angles, so that might not be a bad idea. We'll send the Panzer III and the Panzer II. Why not? See if we can't finish this guy off. We're not able to, and whoops. Next turn this guy is going to need to land, but I have a feeling, something tells me we'll take that airfield before then, so it's not going to be that much of an issue. Everybody's moved? I've been forgetting about this guy this whole time. It's going to be helpful just to plop him down here in case we get hung up on either of our assaults on Lodz or Warsaw. Just because these guys might come down and want to capture the city. That'll be a bad day for us, because then we won't finish the objective. Alright, so we got a rugged defense out of that, which is super helpful. And now we can see we took a little bit more damage than we usually would against infantry there, because we were in a swamp on a river. I feel like I'm quoting Chris Farley there. In a van down by the river. If you know that reference, you're old. Or you like old things. One of the two. I'm not really super sure on what one it is. Alright, let's send you back because you're going to need fuel. And then we can grab our Stuka and finish this asshat off. Nope, not going to finish that asshat off. That's fine because we got a 38T, which should teach those guys a lesson. And I probably should have used the Stuka for that. Oh well. Okay, so we're going to want to shoot that guy. And then move our tanks in. So now that is our airfield, despite having a Polish airplane above it. And, you know, this guy should refuel there if everything goes according to plan. Which it always does, right? You know, it never doesn't go according to plan. Alright, so we got a good assault going on the city already of Radom. And as usual, terribly sorry for any mispronunciations. I don't do it out of, you know, meaning. I do it out of ignorance. So, just keep that in mind. Alright, let's get everybody moved up, and let's get you. We're going to remember to move you. So now we've got our assault into Lodz. And we'll just try hammering them down. We are going to take some serious losses because we are attacking a city without the benefit of having any infantry support. And instead of hitting the city there, I am just going to take out that last little unit. Because one less unit to worry about is always a good thing. Alright, so in that attack he took some serious damage, and I appreciate that. We'll use our Stuka to good effect here, I hope. It looks like we did. I appreciate that. All right, so we can see here the 3rd Wehrmacht Infantry has some yellow bullets next to it. This means they've got 1 round to be able to either attack or defend themselves. They won't be able to do both. Whenever they shoot, they will expend this ammunition. So if we remove them into the city, they'd be able to be attacked by 2 units, meaning 1 time they wouldn't be able to defend themselves. It's not a good thing. What we're going to do instead is move the 2nd in to capture the city, and we're going to resupply those guys. In the meantime, we're going to get our 38T up and teach that cavalry a little bit of a lesson. And we're going to hit that infantry as well, because we need to. Now, something we do need to be cognizant of are these 37mm anti-tank guns. Now, they're not really going to do too much damage, I think, to the Panzer IIIs, possibly not even the 38Ts, but they are big enough to do damage to the 1s and 2s, so we just got to remember, keep clear of the anti-tank guns with your tanks. In the meantime, let's send this 110 to help out a little bit, and we can bring up our 109 as well to hopefully finish this guy off, and it is indeed what we do. I like it. Let's pound this city with our artillery. It does nothing. Oh, but it severely suppresses them, so that is going to make taking this city a whole heck of a lot easier, in theory, anyway. Yeah, we're almost there. Oh, there we go. So we can send... that guy can make it and shoot. Finish him off. And now we can get sort of a front line set up this way. I don't want to push too far ahead, but I can get some armor in front of these guys so the tanks won't die, which is, you know, critical. You don't want tanks to die. And I think we got 1 more movement to do, and then that should be it. Next turn. So we can see the Polish response is, you know, getting weaker every day. We'll see if we can't do some good damage. The Stuka suppressed those guys. However, unfortunately, the 2nd Wehrmacht couldn't really get out and do much damage. And now they need to resupply. It's not a surprise. Alright, well, we'll send the 3rd in to capture that airfield, and we'll send our 38T up to hopefully finish those guys off. Not even close. Well, don't that just suck. Regardless, we can now start hitting these anti-tank weapons with infantry, which is good. Now, what isn't good is an anti-tank cannon next to a piece of artillery, which is why it's a good thing we brought our tanks along on this side. That guy's stuck down in the bed of a river, and now he's as good as dead. Leaves ourselves open to hit those anti-tank guns with something that isn't a tank. And I'm not going to put troops next to other troops in... Wow. Thoughts are not coming. I'm not going to put my infantry into trucks right next to enemy infantry. Those mountain troops could certainly use a bit of a rest and resupply, and these artillery guns need to get to the front ASAP. Might as well use our 109 here, do a little bit more damage. And I guess, well, we can't resupply you because you shot. We'll have to wait for next time. And now we can safely move those guys in there. And that city is going to be nicely protected from that one lone Polish infantry. Ooh, that's a big hit. So they do have a fortress up there. We don't need to take it out, thankfully. But it does make things a little bit easier if we do. Now let's concentrate on this guy here. And now we should be able to get a nice window opened up for the assault into the city, which is helpful. In fact, that's really helpful. We can already do some good damage against that anti-tank gun there. We'll finish off that piece of infantry, because infantry come in pieces. Everybody knows that. And let's just see if we can get this anti-tank gun to at least retreat, so we can get more than 1 infantry unit around this city. Not going to happen today. But we can move, well, we can't really move that guy anywhere effectively. I should have been using my Air Force first. Very much so. Let's see, we can probably send this guy up over here and do some good damage. Do that. Obviously putting him in risk of the fortress, but hey, at least we got that. And instead of doing that, I really should have repaired that tank. That tank might wind up dying, which is not good. Well, we could send that guy over there and just do a little bit of a strafing run and send the 38T up. You guys need to resupply. Can't really get you anywhere. We could put you like that, opening things up a little bit more, sending artillery in to protect. And I think that's really about it. We're kind of to the point now where we're slamming as many units as we can up against Warsaw here. I mean, I guess that's a good place to be. Don't surrender. Oh! Can't believe he surrendered. That sucks. Alright, well, let's go over and replace some of our losses. I believe he was just a normal infantry guy. And you can see as you move on and conquer cities, the next turn, so not the turn you conquer the city, but the turn after, you can plop units down there, which is super helpful. Let's see if we can't finish this off. We'll move our 38T up there. Or no, that's not even a 38T, that's a Panzer 1. There we go. So now that guy should be fairly easy to move in. We'll try and do some damage to that fort, but you know, it's not really. Oh, you bastards. Well, we can move you in there. Might not be a bad idea to try and get rid of this anti-tank gun regardless. And we'll move you there and do that. I guess we could even move you up. Oh, no need to do that. Let's undo. And let's make sure we repair you because I don't want to lose you. We'll send you in. And so now the Polish military has one turn to attempt to retake one of the objectives. If they can't, then we win the campaign. Not going to get over there. Can you? No, not really. All right, let's just end it. And that is a decisive victory. Let's go ahead and proceed. And so they've only got voice acting for the intros, not the outros, so let me do some reading. A remarkable victory, Herr General. Your success in Poland surpassed even our most optimistic predictions. More than this, you have secured our eastern border and demonstrated to our enemies the strength and ferocity of the new German army. With our non-aggression pact with Russia in place, we have assured that Germany will not be fighting a war on two fronts. Right. Additionally, your quick seizure of the objectives has allowed significant time for High Command to shift your focus to the north, linking up with other assets in preparation for our next operation. Prepare your troops, Herr General. This is only the beginning. Let's go ahead and proceed.
Welcome to the Operation Weserübung, your preemptive invasion of Norway. Intelligence has informed us the Allies intend to occupy Norway, so High Command has decided we must strike first. It is believed that if we are able to secure enough vital ports in Norway, we will deny our enemies its strategic bases and vital resources. You must seize the major ports along the Norwegian coast. Ensure a decisive victory by securing the northernmost port of Namsos. Expect minimal ground resistance from the Norwegians, but heavy naval support from the British. To assist you in your campaign, the Kriegsmarine has generously supplied several cruisers, destroyers and U-boats to serve as auxiliary forces. As always, time is of the essence. You should strive to achieve your objectives before you become bogged down in an extended battle against an entrenched enemy that will receive increasing aid from Britain and France.
All right. So, you can see here, High Command has given us some mountain troops, which is super helpful, and because technology advances with the war, we've got a whole bunch of new units to take a look at. So that's pretty exciting, but I think this episode has gone on long enough for today. Let's go ahead and save the game as a Let's Play. Save. And I think this is going to be where we end the video today. So, thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, jokes, musings, what have you below. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.